All right, time to dive into the Wild's duel with Dallas, and we are honored to have with us two former Wild stars, Mark Parrish, Matt Cooke. Gentlemen, the Stars are up by 2-0. Mark, I'll start with you. What have you seen in these first two games that has surprised you? Has anything jumped off the page at you that you're like, oh, I didn't expect X, Y, or Z?
Not to sound arrogant, but no. I think one of the things that's blatantly obvious is that we cannot compete with Dallas 5-on-5, and we should focus on special teams.
Matt, as far as the physical side of this series, anything there surprise you? It seems like Dallas has had the advantage in that to this point.
I just think that they take time and space away really well, and what that leads to is you have to make sure that you're managing the puck. Minnesota doesn't have enough time to make plays, so they got to play a little bit simpler game and get to the offensive zone. Be content to get there and stay there and spend time there, as opposed to try and finesse your way there.
All right, so with goals at such a premium, the bizarre goal last night by Antoine Roussel is causing a lot of concern for Wild fans, and even Devin Dubnyk himself was pretty upset after the game last night. Replay officials in Toronto made the wrong decision in turning this over, especially when you saw the official wave it off, Mark. That's when you thought, that the review isn't going to be enough there.
That's exactly what I felt. If the call on the ice was a goal, I would have been fine with it, because I don't think it's conclusive enough to overturn it either way. But hopefully, the powers that be up in Toronto have another camera angle that we didn't see.
I mean, Matt, have you ever seen anything like that where he's backing into the net and it's pretty much, you can see here on the overhead, it's like way off the moorings, and yet they say that's still a goal.
I don't know how this is conclusive enough to make it a no call, a call for a goal. So it's frustrating, just as is a bad penalty. You have to be able to overcome these things in the playoffs, and hopefully the guys are able to move past it and look forward to tomorrow.
All right, speaking of Antoine Roussel, he's been a thorn in the side of the Wild to this point. Taking liberties, it seems, with Wild players whenever he wants to, and having plenty of time to chat about it afterwards. But the Wild today say he really hasn't been that much of a factor. I want you guys to listen to this first, and then we'll get your reaction.
I don't think it's that they're running us out of the building or anything like that, and I actually don't think that their players are agitating us to the point where we're going bonkers. I think some of the media is giving them more power or more effect than they really have. I think it's a matter of us just needing to play a little bit better, execute with the puck, and we can use that to our advantage.
Maybe there could be some more, physicality there, but you can't run out of position either against a team like this. You don't want to run around a little bit too much, and there's 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s that are happening, and they're a pretty dangerous team. So you don't want to get a track meet going. You want to play a smart checking game, and when the hits are there, or it can happen, then it should happen.
Roussel's 6 feet, 200 pounds. He's been known for his feisty play. He had over 100 minutes in penalties this year in the NHL. Was he a factor to this point, Mark?
Well, yeah, he scored a really big goal last night, but besides that, as a professional, I guess I never was really bugged by too much by antagonists. One, because I wasn't that tough, and two, I was always worried about catching my breath again. So, I think that maybe he hasn't been as factor as an agitator per se, but he scored a huge goal.
Matt, you know this role. You know what it takes. And you've told me before, in a best-of-7 series, this is where you can be your most effective, because you see them night after night after night, and players start looking for that number.
Yeah, I don't think that he's underneath the skin of the Minnesota Wild. I really don't. I haven't seen that. I mean, are they annoyed with him? Maybe a little bit. Do they know he's going to dive? Sure. There's all these scenarios that Antoine Roussel is good at, but from the aspect of a pest or an agitator, I don't think he's the reason why Dallas is up 2-0.
All right, so the Wild haven't scored a goal 5-on-5 in this series yet. Coach John Torchetti has mixed his lines from Game 1 to Game 2, got better results as far as chances last night, and especially Mikael Granlund. He goes from center to wing, got 7 shots last night, nothing went in. He had some glorious opportunities. Do you think that's a better spot for Granny?
Well, I don't know if 5-on-5 is necessarily should be the focus. 5-on-5 is obviously very important, but we've shown that we are having a little bit of trouble scoring goals, period, let alone 5-on-5 in this series. And I think they should maybe look more at just matching up 5-on-5 and focus more on the special teams. If you look at the Chicago and Blues game today,
Right.
all the goals were scored on special teams. Yeah, one was a 4-on-4, but everything was special teams. That's how, I mean, it's important during the regular season. Now in the playoffs, those are the game breakers. That's what you need. So that's the wrinkle I think that the Wild need to throw in, is somehow find a way to even off at 5-on-5, win the special teams battles. That's their chance.
There hasn't been a problem for Jamie Benn finding the back of the net. This guy has been fabulous. I think he has a 10-game scoring streak going against the Wild, 2 goals, 2 assists in this series. What makes this guy so dynamic?
I think he's a bit of a really, really skilled, gentle giant. I don't think people realize how big and strong he is. He's not afraid to use his body, and he uses it so well, going into corners, taking the puck to the net, and not to mention just everything else he does. Face-offs, everywhere in the game. He's as solid as a two-way star is that's out there in the game right now. And he's showing it right now. This is where the big guns come to play, is the playoffs. This is where they want to shine.
I would say that Jamie Benn's one of the biggest competitors in the league. You know, he hit me pretty hard, you know, a year back, and it stung. He's a competitive guy, and he doesn't want to lose. And you compile on top of that he's got the skill to outskill you. It makes him a very dangerous product. And I think that the Wild need to force Jamie Benn, Ales Hemsky, you know, Tyler Seguin, Jason Spezza, all these guys, they need to come 200 feet every time. You know, we can't turn the puck in the neutral zone because you can't have a good gap, and now you give them space to make plays in front of you. Whereas make them go all the way back. They got to skate 200 feet of the ice, and if they're playing in their own end, they're going to be too tired when they get to the offensive zone to play with their skill.
All right, you've been in the X for a playoff game. Everybody says home ice makes such a difference. What's it like to play in that building when it's roaring, and can this really be a factor tomorrow night for the Wild?
Absolutely, it can be a factor, and it has to be a factor. I mean, that's the bottom line. The biggest thing with this is you get last change. Now in the defensive zone, you don't get to put your stick down second, but you used to be able to do that. So that's taken away from it a little bit. But you know, you're at home. You're in the confines of your own home. You're surrounded by the fans, and the fans need to be loud. They need to be intimidating, and they can be. I've played on both sides of it. You know, I went through playing against the Wild, you know, way back in 2002 when, you know, they were all over Todd Bertuzzi, and it was intimidating to be in that building. And I've also enjoyed, you know, 2 years of playing with that crowd, and it's a fun atmosphere to be in, and especially from the home side.
As far as the Wild are concerned, whatever happened in the previous playoff series, yeah, if they're focused on that, then we're in big, big trouble. Focus on the next game, move on, keep an even keel, and just go out there and win that next shift. Win the first draw, win the first shift, work on the second shift. Go from there.
All right, when we come back, we'll take a look at the Wild power play. Yes, it did score the only goal in their series, but there have been other opportunities where this team could have done more damage. We'll have these guys break that down in a moment. And also the Vikings handing out some hardware. We'll tell you who they honored tonight.
Welcome back to Fox 9 Sports Now.
All right, time now to dive into the Wild power play, or lack thereof. With us, Matt Cooke, Mark Parrish. Gentlemen, this is from last night's game against the Dallas Stars. Wild were down 1-0 at this point. And Matt, this was obviously a critical point. As Mark talked about earlier, this is where the Wild have to get their goals. 5-on-5, not so much, but when you're presented with these opportunities, you have to go for it. So let's roll this a little bit, or do you want to go right at it?
I just go right at it first and tell you, from a penalty kill standpoint, first 5 seconds off of a shot, off of a face-off, if there's a shot, it's hard as a PK because now you're reacting to the puck as opposed to reacting to the player. So you kind of lose position of where you are. It's harder to track where the offensive guys are going, and it just makes life a lot harder. So we can run it now and just watch, and then we'll stop it when Mikko gets the puck.
Right. Again, here's the time burden off the clock, like you said.
We stay on the outside. Mikko gets the puck. We're 10 seconds in. You know, ideally, we would be in a position where we would go D to D in a shot, or D to D back to D in a one-timer. But we get into a situation here And the Wild has had success with this move quite often this year. I've seen it happen. Charlie scored a couple of goals from here.
And Charlie's right here.
And it's even
Here's
led.
Koivu, and he's got the decision. He can go here, he can go here, he can wrap it around to the far point. What do you suggest?
Well, I mean, we've stayed on the outside. They've collapsed hard, 3 guys all in this area here, and they know that they're trying to get the puck to Charlie. What they've also done is trapped hard on Mikhail and forced him out of a scoring opportunity for the puck. So if Mike gets the puck back, he's in trouble. Probably the only play and the hardest play to defend right now would be for Mikko to take a step and go directly back up to the top. We go back D to D, and that wide D gets a wide open lane for a shot, which is exactly how Scandy scored later in the game.
All right, so here's how it works out. Instead, Wild try to force it inside. Dallas gets the easy clear. Goligoski sends it down 200 feet. All right, Mark, here's another power play that the Wild had an opportunity on. Again, they have 40 seconds left on the situation, and Suter's got the puck. And again, they like to work it down low. And explain what you see here in this situation.
Not enough movement. Nobody's moving to get open. It's not just the puck that needs to move. Yes, it goes down to Spurgeon. It comes down to Mikko. Everyone should have been moving on each pass looking to get open. And this is all Mikko has on his backhand. I would rather have him stuff the puck right here, just turn and jam it at the net, than try a no-look pass, as he does right here, and it just turns into nothing.
Yeah, so really, I mean,
it's stagnant.
Yeah, and low percentage, because you know that's going to be where Dallas's is. And again, they get nothing out of this. So when you look at this tomorrow night, you're going to be in a pressure-packed situation. How can they get this to work quicker? Is it face off, shoot it? Like you said, 5 seconds, try to get that first shot towards the net?
I mean, ideally, in a perfect world, we're getting a shot, even if it's not a full shot, we're getting a shot on goal in the first 5 seconds of the power play. It opens everything else up. And like I said, it makes it hard for penalty killers to track where the other guys are because you're focused on reacting to the puck.
And Perry, the shooters, you know, because it's so hard in the NHL to get pucks through, is there a way, if Matt wants that shot as quick as possible, what do you do as a shooter if you don't see the cage?
You have to move your angle. You have to move your feet, change your angle, and get the puck through. The one thing that's glaring for me about the power play is the power play has got to outwork those 4 penalty killers. They have got to have a higher intensity than the penalty killers. Right now, it just isn't. It seems like it's almost a break. It's almost getting to the point where, I mean, hey, I know it's only 2 games, but maybe kind of a final win thing where maybe they want to throw a little wrinkle in on the power play too and let Suter take care of all the big boys since they got last change and let him just play defense and maybe give that young Riley a shot. Let him get his little dynamic left to right moves. He could at least throw a wrinkle into Dallas that they haven't seen because Dallas is ready for everything we're throwing at him.
Yeah, Riley got the call up today, practice today. More than likely, maybe we'll see him tomorrow night. Gentlemen, thanks very much for the time.
Thanks,
Perry,
buddy.
appreciate it. Cookie,
Jim,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys are so studious tonight. You know, just breaking things
playoffs.
down.
We're professional,
It's true. It's
Jim.
serious.
Playoffs.
It's the playoffs.
Some of us are
I'm sorry.
professional.
Yeah, I'll try to add some decorum to this. We'll be back right after this.